But I think that like really just talking about where you are in life right at that moment, like whether it's in your career, whether it's in your personal life, maybe that's you shifting gears into a different type. Maybe you used to be a runner and now you're shifting gears into something else more like lifting or whatever that may be. I think that that's just going to be more natural for you.
You can get thousands of views, you can get thousands of likes, and it could be crickets in your pipeline of offerings. That can happen. It all has to be aligned. What the ultimate outcome is for you in your business is what's most important. If you keep that in the forefront of your mind, then all the other stuff that you do can align with that.
Welcome back to Hot Tea with Uma and Brie, where we spill the tea on entrepreneurship, building businesses, and navigating the visibility that comes with it. Today, we're talking about something that a lot of founders overlook when they're focused on growth: speaking, media, and visibility as real business growth channels. Many people think of speaking engagements, podcast, or media features as just brand exposure, but when used strategically, they can actually become powerful tools for building authority, attracting right clients, and opening doors for opportunities you wouldn't get otherwise. So today, we're breaking down how visibility can support your business growth and how founders can approach it intentionally. So Brie, this is a hot topic. Let's get into it. Why is visibility more than just exposure? Like, how would you say that applies to you when you first started working with brands, commodity boards, or just even partnering with other colleagues and initiatives? Like, how did that work for you?
Yeah, it's crazy because I always used to envision media opportunities as just like, oh, this is great. You got featured in A, B, or C magazine or publication or whatever. But then I realized after getting, posted in one of those or having my brand shared in one of those or having a quote shared, the amount of like clientele or partnerships that came after that. Like, I didn't realize that it could be a marketing stream. It was more of just like, oh, this is pretty cool to be featured in this, magazine. But then it was like, wait, you have people coming saying, hey, I saw your quote in so-and-so magazine, or hey, I saw you on so-and-so news channel. It's like, oh, wait a minute. This can be a little more than just being shared in the media. So I don't know. It's been nice to have people come and not even so much as being like, oh my gosh, woe is me. It's more of like, it's great that people are seeing me in different areas and wanting to do business with my business from that. So
Yeah,
that's been great. And again, I did not realize that could come from any sort of media stuff when I first started getting in the media space.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I know that for me, my experiences with just like providing quotes to different media outlets and things it was just the excitement of being able to speak on any particular topic to a broader, wider audience. And just to your point, to be able to get some positive feedback, whether it be from other writers reaching out or brands or commodity boards saying, hey, I saw this. This just made me think about some initiatives that are taking place, and we want to see if you're interested in. I mean, never thought that it would lead to those opportunities. And even just beyond nutrition, for me, definitely from the performance standpoint too, and working with other strength coaches or physical therapist on different projects and stuff. So I agree. I don't feel though a lot of dietitians really know that that's even really an opportunity. I just got done speaking at my alma mater to a group of RDs to be, and I brought up the topic of media and just asked the question like, hey, how many of you would ever be interested in doing something like that? And there was no show of hands. But it was because, honestly, I think it's just because, and every program is different. Maybe it's just something that hasn't been discussed much about yet. But I know that that's definitely an area that I feel dietitians, sports professionals, wellness professionals to definitely look more into, is just being able to just have more eyes on them and be able to provide those expert quotes.
Yeah. And I feel like too, what people don't realize about media or doing, anything that's going to give you more visibility is that it doesn't have to be one way, right? Like
Right.
it can be you writing a blog
Right.
because that was one of my first features in a publication was writing a blog about
Mm.
functional nutrition and ingredients, and then
Mm.
it led to more in the media space where it comes to like quotes and then speaking engagements. So like there are a lot of different ways that you can kind of utilize your voice, whether it's written, print or podcasting like we're doing, or
Yeah.
even speaking on a topic when it comes to like doing a webinar or like speaking at a conference or something like that. And that type of stuff actually shows your expertise.
Right.
Because people now are listening to you to learn something.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody needs a platform, but if you know what you're doing, it's great because you can share your expertise
Yeah.
and then you have some credibility that goes with it. So, positioning ourselves as thought leaders through
Yeah.
whatever speaking platform you have can be very helpful, not only to your brand, but also to, maybe people that are working with you as well.
I agree with that, and I know that a lot of immediate thoughts that people have is, oh my gosh, I would never
Mhm.
speak, I would never, do this or that, and it can be scary if you're not used to speaking, and it may not be your thing, but to your point, it can be in the form of writing. It could even be in the form of like, providing some information, some answers to questions to your local news outlets. I mean, there's
Mhm.
always different opportunities to look into, or even like we already referenced with podcast, being featured on the podcast. So
Yeah.
I agree with you, being viewed as a thought leader and just positioning yourself and allowing you to build that confidence to where maybe in the future you can expand to other forms of media that you can participate in.
Yeah.
So what's been one of the like most surprising opportunities that like came from a speaking or media moment for you, Brie?
Well, I actually have one that it stands out to me because I actually started with like video media stuff on my own. So like I
Cool.
created my own little course. It was my worst course, but like
Ah,
I just started. I was like, let me just start something. And I recorded myself and, did my speaking and all that type of stuff. And I had someone reach out and was like, "Hey, have you ever done, media with like news channels or anything like that?" And I was like, "No, but I did record myself on a course so you can see these videos and
yeah.
see like how I speak." And that person shared it with a brand. That brand ended up coming back to me and asked me to be a spokesperson for their brand. And
Cool.
I was like, "What?" So that opened my eyes significantly to what can happen when you just put yourself out there
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, you know what? This is what I got. I'm going to share it with you. And if we are aligned and you like the way I speak and how I go about sharing nutrition information, let's work together." And that ended up turning into a very long-term partnership that I still have to this day. So
Yeah.
that to me was probably the most surprising opportunity that came from media that I did internally. Like I didn't have, anything to pull from anywhere else. It was something I just created. So
That's
I don't know.
amazing.
What about you?
Oh goodness, I'm having a like brain fart here, y'all. But gosh, I would honestly say just I would say that in general, just by being able to speak to a variety of audiences, there's been multiple times in which those speaking engagements has just about always led to another opportunity,
Yep.
be it locally, being it nationally. And so I think that those are always nice and surprising just because that's never the intent going in. It's just like, hey, I'm doing this because I'm passionate about whatever the topic is. I've had this opportunity. And then naturally it just leads to something else. And so just connecting with other people, not even knowing who's in those audiences that are thinking, hey, like you
Mhm.
would be a perfect fit. And so I would say that those would be multiple opportunities, but I can't think of one that probably stands out right now just because my head is in a fog, to be completely
That's
real.
fine. That's fine.
Can I keep it
You
real?
made a girl listen because that's what we're y'all spring break is right around the corner.
Oh, God help us.
So that's why.
And sinuses in
But you
Oklahoma are rough.
I no, oh yeah.
Allergies, rather. All of it.
Listen, it's one of those the weather spring break kids, right?
All of
So
it.
but you know what? You made a really good point about how you never know who's in the audience.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a huge benefit to putting
Mhm.
yourself out there and doing any kind of speaking or media, because you never know who is going to land on what you're doing, right?
Right.
Whose hands that video might get into, right? Whose ears your podcast might be going through. So,
Right.
and typically people that are making the decisions in the media space are looking for fresh talent. They're looking for new voices, new faces that bring a different and unique perspective to things. And
Yeah.
honestly, like, it benefits them as brands or platforms, publications, whatever, because they have an expert that is coming in and sharing their thoughts. But it benefits you because now you're dealing with more growth on the audience side of things, more clients
Yeah.
coming to you, more brands coming to you. So just, you have to continue to put yourself out there.
I agree. And it's normal to feel scared. It's normal to feel
Mhm.
anxious. I don't really know that there's an opportunity that I've had, especially when it comes to speaking, in which there wasn't a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I think that's just kind of how I operate. But don't
Mhm.
don't let that feeling be the thing that deters you from an opportunity, because you're only going to get better with more practice. Whether
Yeah.
it comes to speaking and even writing. I mean,
Yep.
I can't tell you how many dietitians, I'm sure you know Brie too, that are really amazing writers that always say, gosh, I was awful at first. I didn't know what I was doing. And
Mhm.
then with time, they
Yep.
just figured it out and they got better and better and better. And now they're writing
Mhm.
for multiple outlets. So don't let fear be the thing that deters you from those opportunities. You just get
Yes,
better with
that's
time.
so good. So good. I know I've dealt with nervousness and all the things, right? Like, before every speaking engagement, I am like sweating bullets.
Yeah.
Before every media, I'm like sweating like, I keep towels by me because I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, I'm so nervous." It's like, how many times have I done this? But sometimes you got to do it scared, you got to do it
Yeah.
nervous. You just have to do it. Put yourself out there, because there's folks that are doing it that are not qualified. I know we've said this
I
before.
know, it's
There's people that
crazy.
have platforms that are not qualified, and they're out there doing it with confidence.
Yeah. That part. That part. So, kind of moving into the next section here. So, when we're talking about speaking as a business strategy, right? Like, we talked about how speaking can generate real business opportunities. So, have there been
Mhm.
any opportunities um, or speaking engagements that you've had that have led to those opportunities, like a big business opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's times where I've done like presentations that eventually turned into larger partnerships, where now I'm creating content for on this topic for this specific brand or group, right? And again, you do have to kind of figure out what aligns and what doesn't, because a brand might come to you asking you to speak on a certain topic, and maybe it's not like a passion of yours, and maybe you don't even have any resources built out that align with that ask. You have to determine, okay, like, is it worth me pursuing this and really diving into it to be able to share on this topic?
Right.
How can I funnel this back into my business, or is it not? Because it's okay to say no sometimes to certain things. But if you find that it is really worth pursuing, absolutely take it, because whenever you do that, sometimes it can lead to farther collaborations, more advanced partnerships. And to me, like, that's always a win for us. How about you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely been multiple occasions in which it's turned into a long-term opportunity, and I agree with you. I mean, if you're not comfortable with a topic, or don't agree with something, don't fake it. Don't fake it just because of the
Mm-mm.
fact that it's a revenue opportunity or it's just another opportunity for visibility. Because I will say that it'll make it more difficult to commit to whatever that task is, whatever that project requirement is. And it's just, I feel like it's so easy to see and sense in the authenticity. Um, and so just be okay with passing things along. I mean, I know that we all
Hmm.
know colleagues, other people that may be a better fit for those, and it's okay
Yes.
to share that information. So,
Hmm.
but I do agree that like speaking can turn into big and or small business opportunities. It can also just nurture really good long lasting relationships, and that's just as
Hmm.
valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about, whenever you are picking topics that align with your niche, because I know sometimes, like I said, people will hop around because an opportunity comes across their desk, right? So
Yeah.
let's say, you get an email and it's like this author is trying to get your quote for something that's completely different than what you want to do, right? Like, how do you kind of try to either share a quote that connects to your niche or shut it down? Because I know that's probably happened before.
It has. And I'm thinking in so many different instances, whether it's writing or, hey, this is what we're doing for this initiative, blah, 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 blah. And so I just simply say, like, hey, this is, if it really is not something that aligns, I just, like I said, I will let them know and say that I'm happy to pass this along to somebody that may be a good fit. Or if it is a topic that maybe I haven't really dipped and dabbled into a lot, but definitely can be applicable to my niche,
Mhm.
then I present, hey, would it be okay if we took this approach or this angle with whatever
Mhm.
it is? And then it's a simple yes or no. A lot of
Yeah.
times it's like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, no, this is actually set in stone. Completely understand. Thank you for your time. What
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah. No, that's so good. Yeah, because there are times where I've been like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Where I can't, we're not, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So, like, but like you said, if in my eyes I see any sliver of a way that it can apply to my current audience, I typically will take it, right?
Yeah.
It just like if if it's an area that again we haven't had much, expertise in or haven't had a lot of practice in, but it still applies, I'll take the time to dive
Yeah.
into, the research or whatever and make sure that I'm prepared for whatever I'm going to share. Because when it's aligned, it's more helpful, right?
Hmm.
Like then you don't have to go back and forth with your audience about what's really real with you and like
Yeah.
what you believe and what's like for the media, right? Like
Right.
in my opinion, what you stand on should be consistent across the board.
It should.
And I know there's a lot of there was some publication that came out that was talking about dietitians in the media and stuff like that, and it can be
Oh
very
yeah.
easy to follow the money and end up not saying stuff that doesn't align with your true brand. And you
Right.
have to be careful there because you do want your quotes in what you do, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a guest on a podcast or your own podcast. Like there needs to be alignment so that there can be confidence in your brand, and your clients can trust you too. Trust that you are who you say you are and you're standing on your beliefs as a clinician.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I know exactly what you're referring to. And I think that's, with nutrition, sometimes it can be tricky because I also feel like there's certain audiences that look at us and think, okay, like it has to be cut and dry. There is no room for nuance. And that's so far from the truth. But
Hmm.
I do agree that it's important for your messaging and what you you believe in to be clear, because
Yeah.
then if it's not, then that can definitely confuse people and be like, well, I remember that they made a post or they said something about this in one speaking engagement, but now that seems like it's something completely different. And while it's okay for our thoughts and our opinions to change, especially as we dip and dive into research, right? Because nutrition is still so very new, speaking on nutrition specifically, we want to make sure that we're clear. And maybe in those cases to where we do say something different, we explain the whys as to that. And I've
Hmm.
seen that happen
Yeah.
with so many people that I follow and highly respect,
Hmm.
that will just be very transparent and say, hey, I know that I used to say this, and think this, but this is what I think now, and here's why.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of shift a little bit to, those of us who are creating our own sort of like media opportunities, right? So whether that is you're doing your own webinars or you're doing your own podcast or, let's say you are a writer and you have your own blog on your website or whatever. When it comes to perspective, insight and perspective, as a creator or a speaker or whatever, what are some of the things that you think really create the best sort of content, right? Like, cause I don't know, when I think about it, it's like as a creator, we love to talk about our lived
Mhm.
experiences, right? It kind of puts us in a position of expertise because it's like I can speak on that because I've lived that, right? So
Right.
I can share that. And I think that's what makes, some of the content that we share on Hot Tea so relatable to
Mhm.
people. So I don't know, for somebody who maybe is just starting out or looking for a way to share their thoughts, what are some tips maybe that you can give them on developing their foundation and what to share?
Ooh, that's such a good question and a loaded one. I mean, I think that if you're just starting out, I think it kind of goes back to what we've always said is that like, just be careful because you could have so many different interests.
Hmm.
But I think that like really just talking about where you are in life right at that moment, like whether it's in your
Yes.
career, whether it's in your personal life. And if you obviously we're talking about performance on this podcast, so maybe that's you shifting gears into a different type. Maybe you used to be a runner and now you're shifting gears into something else more like lifting or whatever that may be. I think that that's just going to be more natural for you. So whatever doesn't seem forced is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say is what you should really focus on. And maybe just kind of put your eyes out for. So I know for me, when I think about when I was just starting out, it was pretty clear, like I
Hmm.
knew that my interests were very much at the time fitness and nutrition. Very
Yeah.
much at the time I was into gosh, things like CrossFit, and I was into
Hmm.
powerlifting and strength training and how nutrition applies to that.
Hmm.
So I feel like when you're new and you're really wanting to figure out how to have more of a voice and visibility in the media, think about what your current passions are. I think that's what my tip
Hmm.
is.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's so true. And I did a media training in Atlanta with Diversified Dietetics last year, and one of the things that I shared with them was, taking your personal stories and your personal experiences and your passions and sharing those,
Yeah.
right? Because when you have a platform and there's an audience captivated listening to you, it is easier for them to connect with you through stories, right?
Right.
And through lived experiences because it almost allows for them to put themselves in your shoes or say, you know what, I'm actually living that right now. That
Right.
spoke to me so
Yeah.
much, right? And you go from being this voice on a screen to now being someone that the audience can relate to. So when you're sharing those real lessons, it can really help you build your business and build your expertise. And
Yeah.
that's honestly from whether you decide to share things on your own platform or if you're sharing something on someone else's platform, that is a great way to really start and build your foundation.
Yeah.
So I don't know I think our next topic is like the actual opportunities that
Yeah.
come, right? Like, so for you, what are some different ways that you share your expertise and authority right now, or maybe you recommend other people use?
I think, oh gosh, right now it's quite a few different things. I mean, speaking engagements, of course, in working with brands, being able to have a voice there, commodity boards, obviously this podcast, media
Mm-hmm.
outlets and whatnot. But I would say at the beginning, because again, for our listeners, especially those that maybe haven't had those experiences yet, I think start local. Start with
Yeah.
opportunities in which you literally can just reach out to whether it's clinics, whether it's like different types of fitness clubs, groups, and just say, hey, this is who I am. I would love to have the opportunity to speak to your group. Is there any needs that you have? Because I can guarantee you guys, especially as dietitians and really anybody that's in the realm of performance and wellness, people are always excited when an expert can come and offer their time to share what they know to their group. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that really helps everyone involved, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
being able to provide a service and you're able to practice speaking, getting an idea of how to navigate questions that are asked. The list goes on and on. What about you?
Mhm. Yep. I mean, the more you do it, the better you get. I
Yeah.
love the recommendation of starting local because not everybody is going to have media outlets knocking at their door, blowing up
Right.
your email. Not everybody's in that position, right? So if that's not you and like your, email is crickets basically from
Yeah.
media outlets, you have to create your own opportunities to share your expertise, and
Mhm.
doing so locally can lead to other opportunities down the line. Because what we're, really trying to share with you guys is speaking engagements in whatever
Yeah.
platform they are can be beneficial to you. Anybody can speak, whether you're speaking on a mic or whether
Yeah.
you're typing it out, right? Like you're speaking in some way, shape, or form, and it's possible. Sometimes you do have to pursue those opportunities. Sometimes you do have to say, hey, you know what? I've got this expertise. I actually just did this literally like yesterday. Pitching to a brand and saying, hey, this is an area in which I have an expertise in. I would love to share it with your group, right? And
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, fantastic. So sometimes you have to pursue those opportunities to help
Yeah.
bring some ROI back to your own business. And it's
Yeah.
okay to do that. So, something I want to pick your brain about is when founders are preparing for their media appearances, podcast appearances, or their presentations that they're going to be doing. What are some things they need to have ready to go? Like, what are
Ugh.
some thoughts they should have already worked through, as they're going into these opportunities? Because I know some of y'all just show up and you cannot do that. So, Uma, give us your thoughts on how to prepare in advance.
I really think that this is going to vary for every single person because everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. So I'll say that first and foremost. But I mean, when it comes to speaking, definitely go over your stuff a lot.
Hmm. Yep.
Because what you type out and write out can not make sense when you say it.
Hmm.
Or
Yes,
more so
girl.
not necessarily be received in the way you intend it. So this gives you the opportunity to refine things, change things, or even say, hey, this is what needs to be in my notes so that I can elaborate on this point. It's always fine too to record yourself because I know for me, like even doing media appearance, I'm an animated individual.
Yeah.
I talk with my hands, my face just does so many different things. And so over time, like, it's okay to record yourself at first and then kind of say, okay, this is maybe what I don't need to do so much of. This can be
Hmm.
distracting. Oh my gosh, I have so many different tips.
Yeah.
And then really make sure that you have some of those like sound bites because
Yeah.
what you don't want to do if you're a long winded person is be long winded.
Hmm.
When you're
Listen,
on it.
it is me. And I am her.
So chop it down. What is the
Yep.
messaging? What are the points you're trying to get across? So that way
Yep.
and you can get right back to the flow instead of just rambling on about whatever it is
Yes.
that you're doing. What about you?
So good. Oh my gosh, that is so good. I agree. I love to make sure I've got certain parts memorized and then know how I'm going to bring in my own personality after that, right? So
Right.
whether it's like I'm working with a brand or I'm sharing information in a webinar, I've got my points. And typically those points are pretty short that I have memorized because I don't want to be memorizing the whole thing, but it's like I'll memorize certain points and then I know those are kind of my triggers to say, oh, add this story in here, add that
Yeah.
story in there. And then one other thing that I try to always have at the end, or at least at some point in my speaking engagement, if agreed upon, right? Because not all brands will allow you to do this, but if I have something that I really am pushing at the time, whether it's my community or whether it's, one-to-ones or
Mhm.
whatever, I try to find a way to loop that in.
Yeah.
What is the end goal before I even start the talk? What is the
Right.
end goal, right? Is it to funnel clients to, said offer that I have? Or
Right.
is it to get another speaking engagement, right? Like
Right.
when you know your ultimate goal, I try to funnel that in at some point in the talk. So that way I know, hey, I've pitched something of my own, even though I'm collaborating with this brand or whatever. Again, you do have to get approval for that type of stuff. Y'all don't
Right.
just like throw it in there,
Right.
but it can be beneficial when you know what you want to do ahead of time.
Oh, for sure. I think that's great. And I mean, and that same thing applies for those of you that are interested in maybe doing segments, TV segments. I mean, same thing applies if you want. You can always talk to the station about, hey, can I have like a QR code or something that directs people back to my website? And this is more so for, obviously like non branded opportunities. But I think it's always great to have it in mind when you have those opportunities to where you can speak to a wider audience and then potentially be able to, attain more prospective clients for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to kind of skip to a part because I know we touched on this a little bit when it comes to creating things, whether it's you're creating your own stuff or you are showing up in the media through someone else's outlet. What's more important, right?
Right.
Consistency versus the viral moment. Because I know
Ugh.
in today's day and age, I feel a lot of people chase the viral moment, but just because it goes viral does not mean that it's going to be beneficial to your brand. So, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Oh. Speaking of viral moments, I'll just say this. I think the reason why that happens is because so much has changed on social media.
Hmm.
And I think that's where obviously what we're speaking to, right?
Yeah.
So it I don't even know timestamp, so I'm not going to put any specific dates and stuff. But there was a time in which social media, if you got on at a certain time, you likely had a much easier opportunity
Hmm.
to organically
Yep.
attain quite a few followers. Whereas
Hmm.
now, pardon me, so much has changed.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why people are very eager to have the viral moment so that they can acquire a
Yep.
significant amount of followers to be able
Yep.
to match those that have been doing this for a while.
Hmm.
So I 100% believe that no, unless, and this is where it gets tricky, because I will say I respect professionals that are very passionate about
Yeah.
advocacy.
Hmm.
Whatever it is, that is what they do. There's so many
Yep.
people that are great at it, and we need that. But if that's
Hmm.
not you, don't force it. And it's not worth making yourself look like something or not just for an outcome of
Yeah.
a bunch of clicks and likes and
Yep.
follows.
Oh,
So you want to think about your long-term goal. First of all, what's your purpose of even having a platform?
mhm.
If your purpose is to speak to a wider audience, and your audience really is potentially more clients,
Mhm.
then that's what your content needs to be focused on.
That part.
No problem with other professionals in our field liking our stuff,
Hmm.
but is that what your goal is my question.
Listen.
And again,
Hmm.
nothing wrong, but that's just something to think about when you're curating your content and having a plan of attack. You got to think about all those things, because just because you get a ton of likes doesn't necessarily mean anything, if it
Okay.
doesn't translate to what you're really trying to accomplish on your platform.
That's so, listen, that is the tea right there because you can get thousands of views, you can get thousands of likes, and it could be crickets
Hmm.
in your pipeline of offerings, right? Like that can happen.
Yeah,
And I totally agree with you. It all has to be aligned, right?
yeah.
Like what your goals, what the ultimate outcome is for you in your business is what's most important. If you
Hmm.
keep that in the forefront of your mind, then all the other stuff that you do can align with that.
Yeah.
You can say yes to this quote or this brand or this platform. You can do the small local event because it aligns with what you're trying to achieve in your business, right? Niche podcasts, all kinds of stuff. Those can all be powerful channels.
Yeah.
And when you're sharing on your own social media, staying consistent
Hmm.
versus always chasing the trends. We're not saying you can't do
Yeah.
a
Trends are fine.
trend, like they're fine. Like there's going to be opportunities for you to do that with your brand and it aligns with your brand. But like what we're saying is you can't consistently chase the viral moment in
Right.
hopes to get thousands of followers and think that it's going to blow up your business because that's not
Right.
exactly how it works. So, when we're pairing
Yeah.
visibility with our ecosystems and our business and what our ultimate plans are, that's really how it happens.
Yeah.
Your voice going out there saying something that aligns with the business that you have built. And now it's like, hey, I speak on this. Here's the
Hmm.
next best step for you to come work with me in said way. Right.
Right.
So I don't know, any tips you have there on kind of pairing the two together with your offerings?
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say this because I feel like this is really important to say because of this topic. Um, on the you know point of visibility and likes and stuff. So just know, you guys, that for those of you that are really hoping to eventually like have more speaking opportunities, have more brand and commodity board sponsorships and partnerships and whatnot, rather, don't get so caught up in your follower count. Because I will say it's true. There's going to be brands that are like, yeah, well, we're really not the best fit because that is what we're looking
Mhm.
for, right?
Mhm.
We want
Mhm.
somebody with 50K,
Yep.
100 something K, whatever
Mhm.
followers, and you're not it. And that's
Yeah.
fine. Don't
Mhm.
feel like then you now have to go and pay
Right.
to get
Because.
followers, because here's the thing, guys. They look at that. They have ways to look
Mhm.
at metrics and say, okay, are these true followers? Are they organic?
Yeah.
What is your engagement? And a lot of that
Mhm.
can be exposed. I just felt like that was really important to say because um it happens a lot. So
Girl.
running it back.
Expose the tea.
What was the question again?
Well, basically pairing the ecosystem, but no, we can't leave
I'm
this topic
sorry. I
because
had to say it.
this is good
I had to
because
say
folks
it.
really think that the follower count equates to better
Authority.
business and authority and
Mhm.
expertise and all these things.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case, right? Like, and you'll find, at least in my opinion, the brands that are going to align most with you and what you're doing aren't going to care about your follower count per se. They're going to
Exactly.
be looking at your specific messaging.
Yep.
That's what they're looking at. They're going to your website. They're
Yep.
checking how they're your features. They're Google searching you. They're looking
Yep.
at your LinkedIn. They're doing all those things. They're not just looking at your follower count. They might see that you have, 1,000 followers or less, but they
Yeah.
might say, well, they're a small creator or whatever, but their brand goes beyond social media, right? Like
Exactly.
they've built a business that aligns really well with what we're trying to do. And those are the opportunities that are going to be the most beneficial for you because you're aligned on a lot of different levels. If they're just looking for follower account, I guarantee you that partnership probably won't be something that's going to be long-term
Right.
beneficial for you, right? It's going to be a one-hitter quitter type thing, like, oh,
Mhm.
this is great, maybe boost your followers a little bit, but
Right.
it's more for them to say, oh, we've got all these creators that share our product or whatever.
Right.
And you're just going to be another one of those creators. It's not going to help
Exactly.
you really build your business. So this was off script, y'all. Just know that we weren't planning on talking about this, but it's tea.
It was like boiling. I was like, say it, say it, say it, Uma, say it. So sorry. I completely don't even know what you asked me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's
Running it
wrap
back.
it up with this pairing the two together. Okay, we had to digress. I'm sorry. We're not going to apologize for that. Okay, we're not going
Yeah.
to apologize. Y'all clearly needed to hear that.
Yeah.
In case one of y'all had some follower account purchase sitting in your cart, get rid of it. Okay.
Not follower account sitting in your purchase. Oh, dang it.
Get
Sitting
rid
in your
of it,
cart, ready for
right?
you to hit click and submit.
Right. Don't buy those. Don't buy those. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. It's not. Like, just save
It's not
your
a flex,
dollars.
y'all.
Okay. Get your tax write-offs elsewhere. Okay. So,
For real.
okay. So, last point for real, y'all, this time. We're going to talk about just like pairing your visibility with your, I guess, group of offerings, right? So, at least when I think about my business, in the different things I offer, because we have different legs to our business, whenever an opportunity comes to me, I typically try to pair the opportunity with an offer that I have at that moment, right? So if I have a brand that wants to talk about Black maternal health, immediately I'm like, hey, can I also share this on my Not Collective platform, right? That's specifically for active women of color, right? So I typically try to pair two and two together, and visibility in that regard can really help boost your different business legs or different
Right.
offerings that you have, because they are kind of pairing your expertise with an audience that aligns with an offer that you have. So it's literally like ping pong when
Right.
it comes to the opportunity. So I don't know, is that something that you've you've experienced or something that you've done with brands before?
Yeah, absolutely. It only makes sense to, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I always just say make the most of every opportunity is what it really
Yeah.
comes down to. And kind of going back to the original point, like that should naturally happen if what you're saying yes to is in alignment with what you're about anyway.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because they just tend to go hand in
So good.
hand. So, I often will do that. Like I'll share anything that I'm doing on my site. I'll ask them, hey, this is something else I've got going on. Would you guys like to
Yep.
be a part of that? Because
Yes.
it's just a natural part of the conversation, I feel like.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah, I
And, I-
totally
and then you
agree.
feel confident about it because it's just natural. It's not like anything that's
Yeah.
forced.
Yeah, I agree. And the great part about when you're partnering with good brands, and when I say good brands, I'm not always talking about like a product or commodity board. Like this could also be like another gym in your
Business. Yeah.
area, or it could be a doctor's office, or it could be whatever. Like, but when I say brand, that's what I mean. Whenever you have a brand that comes to you that has taken already a deep dive into what you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
that those are the people that you are going to be able to share the
Yes.
rest of your ecosystem with
Yep.
and say, hey, well, I love that you love this particular thing that I do, but I also do A, B, and C. And actually, I think it's really aligned with what you do. And man, I cannot tell y'all how beneficial those types of partnerships are. They
Yes.
always, 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 always have significant ROI. So
Yeah.
don't feel like you have to continue to chase big brands and huge platforms and
Right.
all these things, like, because that might not be the most beneficial for you. Like, don't overlook
Right.
the smaller brands, the smaller businesses that are looking for mutual
That
partnerships.
part. That is such a good point. I'm glad that you mentioned the smaller brands and the smaller opportunities because at some point, think about it, guys, every big brand was small.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just know that it's nice to be able to grow with people and to really establish those long term relationships. And like you said, not just necessarily with brands, but other businesses. I mean, even I have an example like this business in particular, we're no longer really doing any work together just because things have changed and it's no disrespect to who they are and what they do. I think they're fabulous. But to this day, we're always just sending each other things like, hey, high five. I love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
You're growing. I remember
Yes.
when we were both starting at the same time. Now look, you know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
and they're always willing to support and I'm always willing to support. So it's things
Yep.
like that. And you never know who those people run into who need somebody like you for something that they've got going
Yes.
on. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
important to make sure that you guys, keep those things in mind when it comes to relationships and building those partnerships together.
Yes, yes. Put yourself out there, build the partnerships, nurture the partnerships. You never know who's going to be talking about you when you're
Right.
not in the room. And those are the partnerships that help you grow. So that's a great point. All right, y'all. Well, that's the tea for today. Visibility is not just about being seen, it's about creating opportunities for your work to reach the right people in meaningful ways. So, speaking
Absolutely.
engagements, media appearances, podcast conversations, whatever it might be, those can all be powerful growth tools and channels when they align with your expertise and the impact that you're trying to create. So, if you enjoyed this episode of Hot Tea with Uma and Brie, be sure to follow us on the gram at Hot Tea with Uma and Brie and subscribe to our YouTube channel, y'all. Subscribe, like, do all the things you're supposed to do. Also follow the podcast on whatever listening platform that you use so that you never miss an episode. And if you want to keep the conversation going with other founders and professionals, we told y'all last time we've got the community. So we'll link it in the show notes. And thank y'all so much for listening and supporting us. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ding.
Thank you.